Welcome to the TallHer Network.
Just Keep Living to me now means I get it. And one of the things about Just Keep Living is that I wanted to have a place where people would feel safe. It really isn't enough to be right. You have to be effective. And you'll learn that the more breaths that you take, the more grace that you're given, the more opportunities that you have to just keep living. Just Keep Living with Marva Hanks. So good morning. This is Just Keep Living. I am Marva Hanks, and my guest today is Tanni Scott. And Tanni, the reason I named my podcast Just Keep Living is my father used to tell me when I was so very inquisitive that I would eventually get it. Instead of saying, you'll eventually get it, you'll learn by and by, he would say, just keep living. So now that I'm 54, I get the crux of it. And on my journey, I've had the opportunity to meet so many wonderful people and been able to, in this new season that we're in pandemic, just wheeling them in here, getting them on wax and letting them tell their stories. And you are one of the people that I've met on my journey of the Just Keep Living life for Marva. And so a couple of things I know that we have in common that I wanted to touch on today, as we are wonderfully encapsulated in this wonderful studio, Potatron Network, is that how we met, what we have in common, and there's some projects that you have going on that I really am excited about. So we met about a year and a half ago, 2 years?
Yeah, probably about maybe two. 2
years. And that came about because of who, what, and why?
Yeah, so we met, it was your ministry, on the weekly ministries or monthly ministries.
Love, Serve, Impact.
Love, Serve, Impact,
in my loft, yes.
Right, and how did I?
Wendy Agando.
Wendy, yes. So I met Wendy at another ministry, monthly ministry organization, and she brought me to you. Because you're very tall and I'm very tall. So she's like, oh yeah, you have to meet Marva.
Two tall tribe people need to meet. Two tall
tribe. She's like, absolutely, you have to meet Marva. I'm like, oh yeah, absolutely. So she put us in contact and we met I reached out, we met for coffee, and it was
follow up people.
Yes.
If you want to make friends, find yourself friendly.
Yes.
First.
Exactly.
So you came to the Love, Serve, Impact event that I had at my home. I'm not sure if Walter was there also, but you're on a fly outfit.
Yes. I had on one of my samples for TallHer, which is a project I'm working on. It's women's wear for tall women. It's always been difficult, but I said, you know what? Let me make sure I'm in my TallHer outfit to be in front of a taller woman as well. So Marva immediately noticed it and commented on it, and that kind of got us talking and scheduled for a coffee date.
And the whole premise for Love, Serve, Impact Monthly is that I do get to come across some wonderful creatives, talented people that run the gamut of the spectrum. For our listening audience, they may not realize that I am 77 inches tall. 6'5", and you are
6'1".
Okay, and so finding clothes is a bit of a stretch.
Yes,
is a bit of a stretch for us. And so then, as we begin to talk, we also had another person, social media personality in common, and that is
social media personality.
She uses the tall tribe.
Oh, wow, I'm blanking. I'm really blanking.
Yeah, we're both on her social media.
Yes.
And her name is Bree.
Wow.
Yes. The Tall Society.
The Tall Society, right.
The Tall Society.
Yes, exactly. And you had told me you met her in New York.
Yeah, so I met her on the streets.
Yeah, and I had been in contact with her because I've been to the Tall Society brunches, and I had been in contact with her just about sampling some of my women's clothing. Right. Good.
So other than we're both tall, we both have an affinity towards fashion.
Yes.
And then to inspire you further, I told you there was a designer I wanted you to meet. So we took a road trip
to Detroit.
Yeah. Where we met one of my neighbors and wonderful social media influencers, Leah Miller.
Yes.
at Bella Artistry.
Yes.
And what was your takeaway from that experience?
Just the journey of it. It's just always inspiring to hear someone else's journey and how she got started and how, she didn't have it all together. She didn't necessarily have the support, but she just living every day, step by step, just going through it, and just to see where she was and where she is now is just, it's a testimony every single time. And just to see how beautiful it is, and just hear, how did you get there? What made you keep going every single day when you didn't have the money, when you couldn't make payroll? It was very, very inspiring. Just get up and start. Just start it.
Just start it. Just do it. Just keep living. So her story, she went from her closet in her house, and now she's in a warehouse situation she employs 19 people. And she's moved from a seasonal aspect of her product. And how do you see your journey going? So your kick started. So you've started, you've gone from samples. I have 2 of your outfits, 4 pieces from your collection. How do you see that going?
To be honest with you, how I saw it going did not happen. So I am in a space of day by day.
Okay.
I have a plan. I had a strategy, but the pandemic kind of deterred that plan. So, and I'm fine with that, but I'm like, now how is it going to go?
Right.
And I think that just keeping the direction standard and moving towards that, and not get so caught up in the exact how-tos, especially in this space right now. I just know that I just need to keep progressing, keep going, and then eventually I will get there. I'm not worried about that part. I'm not worried about the how. I'm just worried about keeping what's important about my brand and what I represent, and the posture of TallHer, and going that way. And just keeping doing my part, talking to people, branding, coming up with different ideas, just trying stuff, just progressing. And I think that strategy will get me there. I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, well, and one of the wonderful things that I know about yourself and other creatives that I know that have gone on to, meet their goals is there's no failure. There's always learning.
Exactly.
So as long as you don't have, you're not stunted. Your growth for your brand has not been stunted.
Exactly.
And you're still moving forward. So tell us a little bit about how you thought it was going to go and the pivot that you're going to make.
Yes. So how I thought it was going to go is I was going to tour. I was going to do a TallHer tour, city to city, renting out a space and having a pop-up shop tour. So obviously
that kind of models the Tall Society model.
Exactly. Same exact type of model, just so people can touch and feel and live and really just feel the posture of TallHer. I don't want to just be clothes, because that's not what we represent. We represent something so much bigger than that. So it's important that I'm with the people, that I can talk to the people and explain what we're really about so they can see it and feel it. But pandemic happened, so obviously that face-to-face interaction kind of went away. So now, I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to go to market right now. Online is what everyone has pivoted to, and I get that, but I still don't think that that's enough. So I'm talking to people. I'm trying to figure it out.
So prior to the pandemic, which just put a pin in your bubble of your plan, what was the thing you were most proud of yourself from getting started?
Just keeping the main thing. So keeping the posture of why am I doing this? Why is it that I feel that this is my purpose? It's because I want women to feel like they're powerful, and I want the clothes to just be the outside shell of that. Okay. And if they don't have it, they gonna get it.
Okay. So informally, who sits on the board of advisors for Tanni Scott and her TallHer? So who do you gain the most influence from? Who do you listen to the most? Who inspires you the most?
Marva Hanks.
You and Walter are full of compliments this morning.
Formally, I have a lot of tall friends and a lot of people who are in my corner personally. So I'm always going to them about ideas, and obviously they fit my target audience.
Right.
So I ask them, for questions about how they feel about a sample, but also how am I going to go to market with this, because I want to keep the posture the same. So I just have a lot of friends in my circle right now that I can go to.
That wear the product and can actually give credibility towards the product, because it's a great, I travel in it. And that's when I tried one piece, I was like, I have to get more because this travels so well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So when you see, and you being touched by the pandemic, as a startup, when we see that our TallHer clothing line fashions from Long Tall Sally was even touched by the pandemic, and everyone that we know of that were 5'10" or over, those people that are 5'10" and think they're tall, right? would tap into the Long Tall Sally out of London, and then they were touched by the pandemic, and their brand was 35 years old, 30 something years old. So you're not alone.
Right.
You're listening to Just Keep Living with Marva Hanks. But didn't you touch bases with that company?
Yes. As soon as I found out, I reached out to the COO and the CEO, and they both got back to me and were very supportive. I'm like, hey, I just want your ear. I just want you to listen to, this is what I want to do. And I respect your brand and what you did in 40 years. So just an ear and just someone that was going to respond to me. So I was really grateful that they responded to me at all. But just to have someone like that as an ear and like, oh, hey, I respect what you're doing. This is that's what I'm trying to do. So I'm happy to just, that you're able to just have a conversation with me.
So that was an impromptu mastermind. So what would have been your 2 takeaways, since they did give you audience? What were your 2 takeaways for them that you're going to put in your tool belt to go on and continue to build on your brand?
Yeah, they started the same way, as all startups do. They didn't have the funding. And even when they're hit by the pandemic, they were closing, but they were acquired. So just the progress, just pushing forward, just keeping to go through, just testing, test. There's no one right way to do anything. Right. So they just push the testing. So how am I going to go to market with my audience? How do I get more? What about this fit? All kinds of just testing, just testing. Right.
So I think there's been enough pop quizzes in your life as it concerns this. So my prayer for you is that once, I know one part of your target audience is going to be another thing that we have in common, and that's women's basketball.
Yes.
And so with the NCAA tournament turned upside down and on its head, we don't even know. The pandemic started, it shut down during basketball.
Right.
Championship season. And so as we go into and lean into it, I know that would be an opportunity that you would love to have, is to be at a women's Final Four.
Absolutely.
On that trail and following them and exposing the women to your brand.
Absolutely. Yeah. I plan to be in New Orleans for the Final Four.
Okay.
So when that hit, I was obviously disappointed, but it's, what are you going to do? But as the athletes being the number one target audience, I plan to be at the Olympics this summer if it happens. I want to do a show. I want to do a show for the athletes, just to know that there's another option outside of sweats. There's sweats that are fashionable and that represent you as you want to be represented. And I think that that's something that's missing in the market, especially for athletes.
Right. And so for the buildup and to plant a seed of appetite for them, we know the Final Four, if all goes well, that'll be the first week of April in New Orleans for 2021. And how would people find TallHer?
You can find me on Instagram at TallHer Fashion, and also on the website at TallHerFashion.com. And you'll see on there where you can find us on tour, because we are planning to be at the Final Four next year, at the Olympics, and at New York Fashion Week. So all of that information is on our website.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So we're going to shift gears now. So your business hat. So you do a full-time gig, which happens with all startups.
Yes.
Full-time gig supports your hobby. Hopefully that hobby is going to transform into, a sustainable entrepreneurial model. But what we also have that I have gained insight from is off the Tall Society, the comments that we have to endure being in the packages that we come in. And so tell me a memory of elementary school memory. How did you first know that you were taller than the average bear?
Oh my gosh. I guess in first grade, they would line you up. There's a line leader and they line you up. And I was always at the back behind all the boys, always at the back. And I just remember standing ahead over the boy that was next in front of me. And I'm like, oh, this is what it is.
Right.
I'm taller than everyone.
Right.
This is how it's going to be.
And so what would the Tanni now tell the first grade Tanni back then? Because I have some listeners that are 6, 5, and 3 years old, and they are going to be tall tribe women.
Man, it's okay. It's okay, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It may not feel like that right now. It may feel like everyone's looking at you and that you're awkward and whatever it is, but it's a blessing and it's beautiful. Like, you don't have to ask for attention. It's on you.
There we go.
So what you going to do?
Right. What are you going to do with that attention?
What are you going to do with it?
Right. The other thing is that it did bless you to be able to pay for your college too, right? So what sport did you play and where?
Yeah, I played basketball at Wright State University. So I got a full scholarship, and every day I'm grateful that I do not have school debt.
Right. And Wright State is in which state?
In Ohio.
Okay.
Dayton, Ohio.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
So.
And so that has launched you into, so from basketball, I always like to say the basketball is a platform to do other things.
Absolutely.
And so what was the next thing you did after you graduated from Wright State?
Yeah.
Took you to, you're using your degree to do what?
So I went into the market as I coached college basketball at Queens College for a year, and I thought that's something that I wanted to do. Turned out I'm more of a player than a coach. So I went that route. I didn't like that. So then I went into recruiting. So in the executive search market. So that's what I'm doing now. But obviously I have a lot of other passions, TallHer being the number one, but it's been something that's been very transferable, and especially having that basketball mindset and work ethic and just critical thinking and just being coachable. All that is transferable into the workforce once you get in there and get into your career. So I'm very, very grateful for basketball and what it's given me. It's as far as a work ethic and just being strong-minded.
Right. So as we both have that in common, being on a successful team and then transferring that into the corporate space, what are some falsehoods, some myths that you see that people that really haven't participated in a team that they attribute to themselves? So I think that there's some mythology on, because that gets overused a lot that I hear in the workplace. We're a team, but what have been some fallacies that you've seen?
I think just in general, when people think about athletes, they think that it was easy, that everything was handed to us. And that's absolutely not the case. And I know a myth for myself. I thought I'm an athlete, so I'm going to go into corporate America and I'm going to get it handed to me because I'm an athlete, and people deem that to be a good thing. But that's just not the case. Not the case at all.
You got to read and write, do your arithmetic.
Yes.
While you're on scholarship.
Yes.
Get up and play ball, but then also educate yourself.
Absolutely. So many things transferable, but you're starting from zero.
Right.
You're starting from zero. And yes, you have the foundation that many won't have because that's what you've worked for your whole life. But it is very different.
Right. What other things would you like the listening audience to know about Tanni Scott, TallHer brand, or the dreams to come?
Oh, I'm a work in progress.
Okay.
I'm a work in progress, and I'm very grateful for where I am today versus where I was. And man, I have so much more to do, but I'm just grateful for the growth. I'm grateful for the growth. And God is good.
Right.
All the time. God is good.
What would Mr. Wonderful look like if Mr. Wonderful were walking by for Tanni Scott?
Well, he's here.
Come on.
Well, he's here. But just a man of God. That's it. The package that he comes in, I was never worried about. Well, I was worried about that, in my younger years. But in my more mature years, I didn't care about what he looked like. So just a man of God. That's it.
Love God first, and then you know if he's got that mastered, he's going to know how to love on you.
Exactly.
I got it. This has been so wonderful and great to get to spend the morning with you.
No, I'm grateful. I'm honored. I'm honored.
I'm honored too, and I thank you for your time and deposit into our life. And I'm looking forward to meeting up in New Orleans at the Women's Final Four.
Oh, yes, I'll be there.
Yeah, and being a part of the startup, being able to say, I remember when.
Absolutely.
So grateful to meet you, Tanni Scott.
Yay.
And my listeners to follow you on TallHer.
Yes.
Follow her on Instagram and the website, and it's Tall, TallHer.com.
Yes.
Thank you, and thanks
you.
to the Potatron Network.
Thanks, guys.
Everyone at some point in their lives will have to settle the matter of disappointment, whether in people or circumstances. Choose to receive His grace to influence your next step. Just keep living with Marva Hanks.
Sign up and be a part of the team. Be a Potatron at Potatron.com. Thank you for listening to Potatron.